In today's lecture, we're going to be going over a third type of linear perspective, which is three-point perspective. So we went over one-point perspective already, where there's one vanishing point. Then we went over two-point perspective, where there are two vanishing points. And now we're going to go over three-point perspective, where there are three vanishing points. Now, rather than being on the horizon line, we're only going to have 2 points on the horizon line and 1 point above or below our horizon line. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's make our 2 vanishing points on the horizon line. Now these will act exactly in the same way as they do with two-point perspective. They'll connect at some point together, but then there's a third point that gets introduced, and we can either add that to the top or the bottom. In this case, we're going to go ahead and add one to the top. So we're going to add one right there into the middle of our page. And then what we're going to do is we want to decide where we want the middle of our shape to be, or the corner edge. So regularly we would make that a horizontal line, but in this case it's actually going to become a diagonal line because it's going to come off this third point. So let's go ahead and create that. So let's say that we want the corner edge of our cube to be right here. So we'll go ahead and draw that in like so. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and connect back to our vanishing points. So we'll connect from here to there. We'll draw that in lightly so we can come back and erase. And then we'll draw this one in from here to there. And then we'll go ahead and draw this one in. And then the last one. All right, perfect. So now we have the corner edge of our object. The next thing we need to do is we need to create the other 2 edges of our box. Now in this case, it's going to be exactly the same. All vertical lines, rather than just going straight up and down, are now going to lead back to this point. So let's go ahead and add those in. So I'm going to start off with the one on my left side. So I'm going to bring that to right there. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'll bring that to right there. Great. Next, let's go ahead and solidify those top and bottom lines. So we'll connect them like so. We'll connect this one like so. And then let's get the top one. And then we'll get the bottom one. All right, perfect. So why would you want to use three-point perspective? Because this looks a little bit funky. Well, this is if you want to make some really exaggerated perspective. Now, generally, you're not going to see three-point perspective in real life. You do, but it's to a very small degree where you almost can't even notice it, and all the lines appear to be vertically straight up and down. But if you really want to exaggerate that, so you look like you're looking up at something really tall, let's say a skyscraper, well, you're going to incorporate that third perspective, or that third vanishing point in there, to give the illusion that it's going off into a distance. Just the way that these go off into a vanishing point, well, now the higher your object is, the more it's going to go off into a vanishing point too. So let's go ahead and try another shape. So I'm going to go ahead and create my vertical line down here for my cube, like so, and then I'll go ahead and create this bottom part down here, or the top line. Then I'll create the bottom part like so. And then we'll connect that all the way back to our other vanishing point. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and create the 2 other lines to make up our edges. So we'll put one right here, and then we'll put another one right over here. And then we can go ahead and connect to those edges. So we'll go ahead and connect from here to there, from here to there. Now we can go ahead and solidify those lines. All right, perfect. Now, what if you wanted to create a circular object in three-point perspective? Well, the way you do that is the same way we do it with 2-point perspective. And the thing I really want you to realize about 3-point perspective is it's just like 2-point perspective. The only difference is, rather than only drawing vertical straight up and down lines, now those lines need to also lead to your third point. So how do we create that circle? Well, just like we do in 2-point perspective, we go ahead and we draw an X through our box from one corner to the other corner, so we find our center. So there's our center right there. And now, rather than drawing a vertical line through this, we need to lead that middle line back up to our vanishing point, which is our third vanishing point. And then to find this middle line, we need to go ahead and line it up with that point in the middle, and then back to our vanishing point. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and create our diamond and quickly sketch out our circle. So it's going to come around like so. And so now we have our basic circle in perspective. Now you can take more time to get that a perfect circle, but I just wanted to quickly demonstrate how to find that circle in 3-point perspective. Now, why would you want to do 3-point perspective? Let's go over some examples where 3-point perspective is used. Have you ever seen a drawing or a picture or a matte painting in a movie where there's a haunted house and you're looking up at the haunted house and it's extremely exaggerated? The haunted house looks really tall because the lines are getting smaller the taller it gets. Well, that's 3-point perspective. So let's say, for example, that this is the entrance to a haunted mansion. Well, we would probably have a door right here, and then we might have a window up here. And I'm just trying to follow my perspective as best as possible. I'm not going to take the time to actually draw it in. And then you might have a top on top of this. It's kind of a dome sort of a shape. Then you might have slats of wood coming across here. And that's just a really quick example. Another place you might see this is in 3D font. So let's say that, for example, you're creating a comic book and you want some really exaggerated, stylized 3D font. Well, what you can do is you can use this perspective to create that font and use this as your base. So let's say we wanted to put an M right here. So let me go ahead and draw a line for my top area. So we're going to put an M in this space right here. So let's go ahead and draw that M in as best as we can in perspective. All right, so once we have that M drawn in this plane, now we can go ahead and add the other 3D edge to that by connecting back to this vanishing point all the way back to this edge of our M, and we'll go ahead and draw a line like so. We don't have to draw it all the way, we just want to draw it to about the depth of what we want our shape to be. And then we can go ahead and add that same edge in like so. And then we'll do the same thing underneath there. And then we'll connect to this edge of our M. And then we'll also do the same over here. And same with this bottom. Then if you wanted to, you could go ahead and add in some shadowing underneath there to make it look more realistic and three-dimensional. But this is another example of where you might want to use 3-point perspective. And also, like I said, you might use this if you're doing a cityscape and you're looking up at skyscrapers. You're definitely going to want to use 3-point perspective. All right, that brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, we learned how to create 3-point perspective and where we might want to use this. Now, remember that 3-point perspective occurs everywhere in real life. It's just that your third point is so far off and so far away that you almost can't even see the slant in your vertical lines. And so they all appear like they're going straight up and down. But for the most part, you're not going to really want to use 3-point perspective, but if you ever do, this is how you do it. Also, remember that 3-point perspective is just like 2-point perspective. The only difference is that your vertical lines are going to lead back to your third point rather than going straight up and down. Thanks for watching this lecture, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next one.